Hi everyone, it's Adam, Southend Guy, back with you again. Slightly different one this time. It's not paranormal investigation. I am out on a road test. This time it is with an Africa Twin, the 2020 model. And I've been kind of looking to get a grips for this new one because it's had a lot of updates on the previous model. And as those that you know me know, I did fall in love with the old model. And with the new one, I was a bit reticent about it, I suppose, because all the updates. It's like they're going down, the GS path or whatever you. But we'll talk about that during the video. So what we're going to do now is hand over to Hal, and he is going to talk through the features of the new model, and also I'll be asking him one or two questions about the updates that's on there. So here we go. Here's Hal.
Yeah, so it's gone from being what I call a basic adventure sports bike or an adventure bike to being a sort of all singing or dancing technology advance. That's sort of reference to all the other manufacturers as well, whether it be BMW or KTM or Triumph, etc. It does look quite complicated initially, but you can sort of break it down into not a great deal. All right, so you've got a 10 horsepower gain, and you've got about 10 more torque as well. It's a more road biased engine as well, so you've got. There's sort of more top end to the bike as well. So it just means that whereas the other one had quite a flat sort of power curve and especially a torque curve, it meant that it would sort of run out of puff towards the top end.
Yeah, I think that was something that was picked up on previous tests. It was one of the few that said they felt it was it could have done with a little bit more power.
Yeah, that's it. So for two up touring and all the luggage,
yeah, that was it.
Then people would like a little bit extra, and this is what this has got. So this is sort of part of the reason why. So as with all Hondas, they always feed back all the good and bad bits, and it always comes out into the next model really. So on every single Africa Twin Adventure 1100 that you buy now, it comes with a touchscreen infotainment system. So this screen at the bottom stays the same regardless to what you're doing, and the one at the top is the one that's the touch screen.
Okay.
And when that finally comes to life and gives you the safety messages, etc., you just press OK. And you have quite a few different displays and quite a few different rider modes.
Yeah.
So basically, if you look down at the control panel here, you've got up, down, left and right, enter and back, and that takes out sort of 6 buttons.
It's just like a cursor thing, really.
Yeah, exactly that.
Okay.
That's it. You've got a favourite setting mode. Say for example, every morning you come out and you put your heated grips on, then you can, every time you press the favourite button, you can set that so it'll go straight to the heated grips.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting.
And then you've got next track and previous track and then horn, etc. So when you break that whole panel down, there's not a great deal going on. It's sort of quite easy to get used to.
Yeah.
You've got high and low beam and pass light. Okay,
so that's in one now.
That's correct. That's it. Then you've got voice activation control and you scroll through sort of the folders if you're going through MP3s and all that sort of stuff.
Okay.
You've then got a left indicator, right indicator, push into cancel as all bikes, hazard lights. Okay, and then you've got the downshift and the upshift where like the pass light almost would be if you was on another machine.
Okay.
You've got handbrake, which you pull back and then slide the little locking mechanism forward, and that's if you were, say for example, parking the bike on a hill and you can't leave it in first gear. And then that's what you'd use that for. You just pull the.
Okay, so that's the same as the last model that had the parking brake, isn't it? Yeah.
That's it. It hasn't changed at all. Over here you've got FN, which stands for function, as well as the forward and backwards here. So you press function the once, and up at the bottom of the screen there you've got the heated grip. So obviously 1 to 5. We'll leave it on sort of number 2 for you.
Okay, yeah, because that changed of the previous model. It was just a little switch, wasn't it?
That's correct.
It's one of the. To be honest, that was one of the really few complaints I had about the previous one. Was off. I found the switch was a bit small for the grips, and I understand there might have been 1 or 2 issues with people saying that it wasn't they weren't particularly effective.
So what it was the heated grips were something we'd used on a few different Honda models, but it was the density of the handlebars that was absorbing the heat.
Right.
So they changed that. That was something that was changed as a product development over the course of time. So like I say, that got sorted, but it's definitely not a problem. This one now, sort of red hot. So so how do we go with that? You've got auto dimming lights. You also got if you triangulate your Bluetooth headset with the infotainment system, then that's how you'd go up through like the volume.
Okay.
All right. So it's pretty simple, and after a few seconds that fades away.
Yeah.
Okay. This one's a DCT model, the dual clutch transmission.
Yes.
So you've got the choice of drive, 3 sport modes, as well as sort of swapping over to a manual mode as well.
Okay, so that's essentially the same as the previous model, isn't it? If I remember.
It's a software change from it, so it's the same layout because you had drive and 3-stage sport.
That's
However,
right.
There is more software in the new model.
Okay.
And also you've got cruise control, which is what everyone asked for as well.
Okay.
So basically you just kind of press that to turn on the system, okay, and then you press down to set it, and then same as in a car, you sort of click
Yeah,
up and click
yeah.
down once it's in the set, and then up is resume if you're coming back out, back onto it again.
Something my Saab shares in common. That's got cruise control.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. So here, so basically, you've got the display is linked to the rider modes as well. So if you look at off-road, that links to the power, torque, as well as the electronic suspension mode as well.
Yeah.
When you scroll through that, it will go through to the next one. So gravel, same again.
Okay.
The more blips you have on the circles, the more electronic intrusion there is. Hence the reason why you get the least amount of power on gravel mode. You get actually the most. You basically get the most amount of engine braking on that one, and then
okay.
same with torque control and ABS, etc. The urban, okay, and then you scroll through to Tour. So Tour is the all singing, all dancing mode, and the one that I probably recommend for most road riding.
Yeah,
So you get the most information on the display. You also get maximum amount of power and sort of a nice blend of engine braking and torque control for road riding as well.
Yeah.
You can either touch it with your fingers straight away like that and just scroll across the different modes.
Okay.
Or if you want to, then you can use these. Like I say, it might be a little bit better while you're actually riding to use the
got it.
cursor. And from here, you've got Honda's torque control settings. You've got Honda ABS. You've got the preload. So, for example, at the minute, if it's just a single rider, you just have one helmet illuminated. But if you're going on to have luggage, click that, and you can hear the preload being wound up electronically.
Oh, right. So you can set the suspension through
From the screen.
So you're not fiddling around with any dials or anything like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, that's
So
impressive.
you don't have to get down on your hands and knees.
Okay.
There's no sort of no C spanners anymore. It's all can be done by the screen.
Yeah.
You've got G mode, which is off-road mode. It keeps it in a very low gear, going up and down descents. It's got an IMU which can tell that. And it means it's going to give you all the engine braking that you need, so you're not sort of on the brakes constantly and all that sort of stuff. So
Yeah.
very, very handy. So we'll take it back off of that. So yeah, also in the background you've got in the settings here, you've got phone, media and settings. So if you have an Apple phone and you use a genuine Apple cable and you put it in the tank bag, you plug it in through the USB socket, which is just over there.
Right,
Okay?
yeah.
And you can use Apple CarPlay, so that gives you full access to Google Maps or the Apple Maps software, as well as text, calls, everything else in between.
So you'd link your phone up via cable and then you'd Bluetooth that to your crash up.
That's correct. That's right. Yeah.
Okay,
so
right.
You can use Android phones. We haven't got Android Drive. We haven't got the licensing for Android Drive, so they haven't managed to get that quite yet. But that should come in the future.
Yeah.
And basically, at the minute, it's just Bluetooth triangulation with the Android. There's no need to have it plugged in.
Okay.
It still means you can do music streaming. You can still make calls, and 90% of the functionality is still available on an Android.
Okay.
Just using a slightly different format. Okay.
Yeah.
So you just kind of scroll through. It's very, very easy to use. It's sort of all sort of plug and play stuff. And nobody hasn't been able to sort of link their phone so far. You only need to have a Bluetooth system newer than 2.0, which is roughly about 5 years old now. So we haven't come across.
I think this is about 2 years old, so it should be right.
It's more the actual Bluetooth headset sort of. 2.0 is the sort of cut-off point. But like I say, it's about 5-6 years old now. So we haven't come across anyone that sort of hasn't been able to do it. So it's all worked fine from there.
Okay, so but if you was to link this up to here via Bluetooth, has this got like another Bluetooth to connect to your helmet after that, or?
Yeah, so it's basically you have to triangulate all three.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so it's usually that most people will connect the. You have to connect both devices to this.
Oh, right. So it's got multiple Bluetooth connections. In other words, right? Yeah, got it. Okay. Oh, yeah, that does. Actually, quite a lot of sound of that, actually. Because, one of the things as much as we like the noise of bike, sometimes if you're on a tour for hours, it can be a bit boring. So, to be able to control your music through there and not, you know what I mean, lift your hands off the handlebars. That's So then they're going slightly more, giving more touring options as opposed to the,
That's it. Yeah, so this one is meant to be sort of the tourer and the commuter, and the more road-biased one. And we've got the standard model over the back there, which is a genuine dual-purpose bike. So it's still got the tube tyres. It's lower. It's easier to sort of manhandle and move. It's a lighter, smaller bike.
Right. Oh, I see where you're going now. So, you've got a little bit like the GS, I suppose, because you got the road bias one, and then
model,
So right, okay, so that's what Honda's doing now, moving up slightly to compete with.
Yeah, most certainly.
To compete with the higher end now.
Yeah, that's it. So
Yeah.
the BMW hasn't got as much technology as this. Like I say, we've
No,
got more features than the GS by quite some way.
Yeah.
So like I say, it's pitching itself right up against it. This is still cheaper than the GS.
Yeah,
Adventure.
yeah, that's
So
true.
They're about 22.5 for a GS Adventure. This is with absolutely the top of the range model. So DCT and electronic suspension, every single conceivable item like of extra,
Yeah,
all luggage,
yeah.
everything else. It's 20,150 at this moment in time.
Right,
Like
so
I say,
yeah,
that's
that does
two and a-
come in under the BM.
It's $2.5 cheaper
Yeah.
than the BMW. Like I say, it's Honda build quality, and if you was going to trust anyone to put a load of technology on it, it's Honda. You'd probably go.
Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right there. I don't think I've had any grief with any Honda technology.
No, absolutely.
Maybe dim headlight on my old CBR. But it's 30 years old. I'll take that.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. So, lithium polymer batteries and all of the latest applications
Okay.
as well, and really
Yeah.
helpful. I mean, for us as a dealership, we have like a triple chargers around the place that we sort
Yeah.
of swap the bikes on, and the lead acid batteries get a charge at least once a week, and sometimes they can still go flat even if you sort of keep
Yeah,
on top of
yeah, I know.
The lithium polymer batteries, you might have to charge them up once a month.
Okay.
And you won't ever have a problem. You're not supposed to keep them on, you can, but you're not
Yeah.
supposed to leave them on triple charge all the time. They really don't need it.
No.
That's
Oh, that's
a good
interesting.
thing for like people that use it only in the summer, for example.
Yeah, I mean, from a personal point of view, this to me is an all-round. Winter and summer.
Sure.
I mean, I'm only on my Thunderbird at the moment. The CBR's come off the road, and obviously the Thunderbird. I refrain from using it when it's wet these days.
Sure.
For me, I mean, when I looked at these first off, it's like, great, there's something I can use all year round. And when you've got the extra modes in there to go touring, it's just a bonus to me. So, I mean, in terms of, as I say, because it was stepped up now with CC technology, how much heavier is this than the last year's model?
He's 5 kilos lighter.
So
Yeah,
it's 5 kilos lighter than the
lighter.
pre.
Yeah.
Oh right, okay. Yeah, because I just assumed throwing more things on it.
Yeah, they saved some money in like hollowing out the rear subframe and a few other bits and pieces like that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So that is actually impressive because the thoughts that's going from they've got they've stepped up to meet with to compete with BMW and the like.
Yeah.
And my instant thought is it's a bigger bike, it's going to be heavier,
For sure.
but
Yeah.
it's 5 kilos lighter than the 19 model.
Yeah.
So that's I'm really going to look forward to this now. Okay, so I mean, if you're going to the other model, you say is that lighter still?
Yes,
If
it is, yeah.
so, that's even lighter.
It's even lighter, like I say, and it's got a much lower seat height as well. So
Okay.
I think these go all the way up to about an 875. If you used to get the high seat option in the
Yeah.
high position on this bike, it's at 875, which
Oh,
is incredibly high.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
incredibly high. So yeah, that's it. So I think it goes down to about 725. I think is the lowest
Okay.
you can make the other model.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can have a fair amount now.
Okay, so seat adjustment, is it like, say, the Triumph Explorer? There's like a little bar underneath, because I think did the previous model have that as well? It's just like a bar and you moved it,
It
or?
wasn't a bar mechanism. Like I say, you just got a higher and lower slot position. And you sort of tuck into
Right,
place,
okay, so,
yeah.
right, yeah, because it's been a long time since I was on the previous one, so I'm trying to remember, but I know with the Explorer, it was just like you just twisted this bar and it popped up, and it's quite a simple design. Okay, so we're going to get this out on the road, see how it compares to the older model. Again, this is a DCT, which I will talk about on the ride. And that's, as I say, the modes are essentially the same as the previous year. You said there was one more, there's a couple of little bits. But,
It's a software tweak, yeah.
yeah, okay. Right, okay, so we're going to crack on, get this thing out the road, and we'll see where we go. I'm not going to do any off-roading because I haven't done it for about 10 years, and it was on my Dominator, which is about 80 kilos lighter.
Yeah, no problem.
But yeah, we're going to see how it goes as a road machine. Now this is the standard seat, is it, on here? So that there is,
position,
yeah. Now I understand with the previous model, because I remember when I took out the previous one, Hal said that had Glenn said that had a,
Low seat.
but it had an extra comfort or something.
So
Is there an option to do that?
there was a high, standard, and low seat.
That's it. Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay, so just moving on from Hal's talk about the bike, we're going to go to the next step, which is obviously riding it. I'm going to try and get on and get moving as quick as I can, because all I can smell is fried chicken, and I haven't had any lunch, so I'm feeling quite hungry. So first I'm just going to get my leg swung over, okay, which was nice and easy. Now again, as Hal said, there's different seat heights for this. Unless that doesn't fold down, I ain't going to muck about with it, not that I need it. So yes, we have got this for a couple of hours, and again, as just pointed out, this is the DCT version. Now I'll talk about the manual and DCT as we go out, and right, that's that. The rider is responsible for the safe operation of this vehicle. Okay. So, and it works with gloves. Again, that's good. Now, yeah, there's a lot of different functions on here. So we're going to go and we're on the tour mode, which, as Hal was just saying, sort of the best version for road. Now, this is the DCT version, as we said, but you can have a manual operation with it. So we're just going to make sure it's in neutral. In neutral, nice and pleasing. Now I've just got to get out of here because this van just parks right in my way and I cannot see beyond it. God, there's a late Saab, look at that, the last off the line. So right, my hairs seems to be going for a clutch. That tells you how long it's been since I've ridden a DCT. So we're going to put it into drive, which is there. Now this has got, as we were just saying, this has got 3 different settings for drive. You've got the Sport, Sport Plus and blah blah blah. Other than that, keeping it in drive, it's literally like a big twist and go. And the only problem I'm going to have here is I can't see what the fuck's coming up here because van's just... Oh, the heated grips are coming on already. That's it, right, that's good. There's the old girl. Right, so off we go. I can immediately feel the heated grips, and that is a very... Okay. So it is on minimum throttle. It's just gone straight into fourth. The changes are really nice. You can feel them. It is pretty quiet, and it's up to 5th already. Now that's the indicators. That's a really light fill on the switch. Yeah, I can feel the. I mean, brake wise. Okay, yeah, it's nice and easy. Yeah, that indicator's going. Yeah, I can feel the heated grips coming in already. It's off we go. I'm just going to take a little bit of a gentle warm up. Feel it around the bends. That's what I'm firstly going to do. Then we'll get it on. Then I'm going to get it onto dual carriageway setting. I'm probably going to go up the A130, I think, because the A127 is now a 50 limit, so I can't really take it to motorway speeds, which is where obviously you want to be when you're touring. Come on, mate. So I've just gone for a clutch again. I test rode the previous model last year, so what I'm just going to quickly do is we'll talk about the DCT and the manual. Now when these came out in 2016, I initially test rode the manual because at the time, like a lot of bikers, it's like, oh, DCT, I don't know if I'll get on with an automatic, I'm going to be going for clutches and gears and so on and so forth. And that was such a common thing that I was reading and talking to my mates, you know, and I personally thought DCT, you know, it's a little bit more money. Personally, what I don't have, I won't miss. So I took the manual out first of all. And yeah, the gearbox was nice, standard manual. Getting it out onto a dual carriageway setting, I was coming from the 50 to the 40 limit on the 127, like coming back to
Was it the 40 to the 50? Either way, I was on the 40 limit. I do love this, people driving along 15, 20 miles an hour. And I had it up into top gear. And one of the very few criticisms I had was that in top gear, so sixth gear, that it did chug a bit at a lower speed. That was my only other criticism, bar what I mentioned regarding the heated grip switch. And the later reports come back that people were finding that the heated grips that Honda fitted weren't particularly effective, and as Hal explained back there, the issue was the handlebars. I mean, things like that you're not going to find out until, you know, these things get a proper shakedown, you know. So those were the two issues. Yeah, as I say, so I read the manual, I was quite impressed with it. Otherwise, there was some people did criticise a supposed lack of power, apart from the issue with sixth gear. That change is low. I'm going to have to fiddle around with the settings for this. Yeah, apart from the issue, well, it's an issue. I mean, it's so easy to change down. I was just being a bit pedantic, but apart from that thing of sitting there with sixth gear and low speed, that was, you know, other than that, I found the power was absolutely fine. Oh. I found the power, you know, it pulled like a train. It's the previous model, I think, was in the mid 3 seconds for a 0 to 60, so they're hardly sluggish. However, I think the issue came from when you're too up and touring. I think that's when whatever problem with a lack of power became a bit more transparent. But other than that, for a single use, I found it fine, good as gold to me. So yeah, that's the basic model. As I said, I originally took the manual one out. Happy as Larry with it. It done everything I would ask of it, you know, the handling, and this feels just the same actually. Don't you dare, mate. That's quite a nice noise. That's a nice noise from the pipes. I like that. Unfortunately, the same issue. People just driving along, yeah, whatever. Yeah, yeah. That. Other than that, you know, I was very, very impressed with it. And so yeah, it ticked me boxes. Let's just say. Anyway, moving forward a little bit later, I think about another year or so, I saw a DCT version come up, fully kitted for about £9 I think, which I thought, oh, that's not a bad price. However, having not ridden essentially an automatic bike, I thought, am I going to get on with something that doesn't have a clutch? Am I going to go out and spend £9 or something and then find, oh crumbs, I don't really like the gearbox, you know, just £9 down the pan. And oh god, what's going on now? You know, you don't want to throw £9 down the bin. I mean, for me paying out for the Triumph, alright, you know, it was a 20-year-old bike anyway, but it was, you know, £3 a lot for me for a 20-year-old bike, particularly with all the 0 hours contract work I was doing at the time, but it's another story. So anyway, we booked up a test ride with the DCT, and I deliberately took out, again it was the guys in Bellevue, as I say, Glenn and Hal, great guys, I took out the fully kitted model again, but this time with the DCT. And once it might have been Hal again that went through everything with me. I'm sure it was. You know, just went through how everything works, and I thought, oh, okay, I'm fully immersed with the no clutch thing. And believe it or not, by the time I pulled off, just as I did from Bellevue back there to when I got to those first set of lights, I found I'd got on with it like a duck to water. You know, within a minute of getting on it, it just felt natural. So I immediately thought, okay, that's really good. You know, because I had the same thought process as a lot of bikers, as I just said. You know, you think you're going to be going for a clutch, gears, blah blah blah. You know, you're not going to get on with it, but I just did. It felt so natural. So then I took it for a spin. You know, let the DCT do its thing. Then tried at the manual mode, because you have got a manual, but they're obviously with no gear shift. There are paddles, and so I was only out for an hour that time, so you couldn't really do much. It was about half hour up the dual carriageway in the auto mode, just mucking about with it. You know, see how the kick down and all the rest of it worked, which is fine. And then coming back using the paddle shift. Again, it was happy as Larry, so I immediately thought, that is spot on. I'm well impressed with it. Again, there was one or two criticisms from people I know, and for, you know, one or two online saying, oh, DCT, is it reliable, and so on. What you need to remember is that Honda have been fitting the DCT to the NC700X, I think it is, which have been out for quite a long time, or, you know, quite a few years before they bought the Africa Twin, so they knew the technology. Any issues that they had with the technology would have been ironed out with the NC. So you bring it over to the Africa Twin and Bob's your uncle. So it was yeah, okay. So I thought, well, if I see a DCT version, I know I'm going to get on with it, and that is all I needed to know. And then we did a second test ride, because a friend of mine wanted to get a big adventure bike. You know, so he's looking at the GS's and the Triumph Tiger Explorer, and obviously these. So I said, well, what we'll do, we'll book up a dual test ride, which will give him the opportunity to try, because they had a manual and a DCT version for test ride. So I said, we'll take the pair of them out, and then we'll just swap over. So you can say he could see if he got on with the DCT. He didn't actually. He preferred the gears, which, you know, horses for courses. But yeah, and when I got back, I actually thought, do you know what? I prefer the DCT to the manual. Yeah, the manual's fine, you know. The gearbox I found really snicky. It's great, but the DCT, it just felt like very natural, made a lot of sense. So that's how we are. So today, moving on, this is the 2020 model. I'm getting nowhere fast with this. This is the 2020 model, as we've gone over, so there's quite a bit more to the new model. As Hal's just, you know, we've just gone through the talk with Hal over this, all the new technology here. Over the old model, and I quite like the old model. I liked its simplicity, because to me the old one was a great balance between something you can do some, to my mind, you can do some quite serious off-roading, due to the fact that it's smaller than the GS, the Tiger Explorer, you know, those behemoths we call them, you know, the big old buggers they are. And it wasn't too small in that to my mind, any distance work would be uncomfortable. So to me, it was a great balance. And I initially thought, when they announced this new model, I thought, oh crumbs, okay, well they're now falling into that must have a humongous adventure bike thing, you know, again moving up with the other models. But somehow it's just sort of laid some of my fears, thinking, oh, if you're going to go bigger, it's going to be heavier and so on. And as you said, Honda again have done their homework. They've moved the CC up, because I think there was an issue regarding the power output. They upped the power output for the previous model, and I think they had one or two issues with it. So an easier, natural way to get more power is to up the engine size. But as I said, I had issues that there might be a payoff for the weight side, but as we've just been talking, Honda have done their homework and actually managed to make this 5 kilos lighter than the previous model, which to me is just like, you know, amazing. We've now got the tubeless tyres, which is another advantage, and a few other bits. The only thing that did come into criticism from the reports I read was this new technology surrounding the infotainment system. I mean, this thing's like, you know, I've got an 18-year-old Saab, 17-year-old Saab, which is quite well equipped for its time, but it's got nothing on this. That's my car. You know what I mean? It's a motorbike which has got more technology on it than what my car is. And as we've just gone through with the talk with Hal, there is quite a lot of tech on this, but the criticism that I'd come across on previous reports was this was quite a complicated setup. Now, with the previous one, I liked it because of its simplicity. They are very low gear changes, so I'm going to, we're just heading out into Stanbridge, Canooden Way. So if we've got some clear roads, pick up a nice bit of speed, there's some nice bends to try out. That tips in quite nice, that's really, okay, yeah, I like that. So we're going to see how the gearbox performs when it's under load, because it's shifting, you know, my minimal throttle, and it's, well, you can see there, we're in 5th gear, and it was shifting, oh yeah, okay, oh, what are you doing? That handles, that I've just felt, you know, just that brief bit of getting it, chucking the bend, and that was absolutely spot on. So the tech that I put on here, I'm not going to muck about too much with it. I might try and get it into Sport Plus mode, or whatever it is, the top tier one, but I'm not going to muck about too much. Oh, it's on top, isn't it? Yeah, that's right. And there goes the Piper up there. I think that's the Piper Cherokee, which, strange enough, I've also flown that. So I'm riding underneath a plane I've flown. That's another story. I'm going to open this up in a minute. I really am. Now I'm just looking at the display, and I can see the heated grip just there, the heated grip indicator, and I think we've got 5 settings, which I think Hal said. Now we're on 3, and I can feel that. That's nice. It's not over. It's not on. That's, you know, just right. Given the time of year we're at, well, I've got to say that really picks up. It didn't drop down like I thought it would. It's just powered on. So I was immediately expecting like a kick down now. If it did kick down, I'm going to watch again because we're now up to top gear now. If it did kick down, I didn't feel it, but there was just this nice surge of power, and then it sort of picked up. So it's, as Hal said, there's a bit more top endy, and I've just felt that because the older one, the power felt quite linear, and this just felt like it's got a bit more top end. There was a nice pull there, and then it just felt it pick up, but I had to slow down again. So we're coming out of the village, so right, we're in fifth. Right, so yeah, I've just nailed it. Well, that does pick up. Yeah, okay, that's good. Those tyres are looking lovely. That's suspension. It's just... I've never really done homework. I've just gone for a clutch again. Unbelievable. Granted, that's the second time I've done it since I come away from the shop. So it's only a bit expected, yeah. So we're going... Yeah, I'm on minimum throttle now, and it's just short shifting straight up. So I'm assuming that tour mode has a kind of economy mode, which obviously when you're doing distance, that's what you want, because you don't want to be stopping every 5 seconds. Yeah, see, I'm just minimum throttle again, and it's, you know, it's going for that sort of eco thing. Yeah, I mean, look, we're not sick. So, now, I've just felt that went up into 6, which is we're in now, understandably, and when I nailed it, it dropped down to 5th. I kind of thought it would go, it would drop down into 4th, so maybe that's the touring. I mean, it's lovely. I mean, I'm trying to tell myself it's a big bike, but it doesn't handle like a bike this size should, to my mind. So we're gonna... Whoa. Oh, that's the horn. Okay, so... Oh, I might have... And that's the... Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. This isn't any 5-blade or anything like that. You know, it's never going to be. But the steering is reasonably, I feel it's reasonably, there's actually not road centre there. Next time. It does feel very planted. I've really got to give it its due. There's a lot of grip there. Brakes are lovely. Opposite lock there. I don't want to be a bit. If I take a wrong move, I would be going properly off-road, and I mean off-road into water. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull over in a minute, and we're going to go through some of these rider modes and see if I can. I think. I might go into manual, I think. Oh yes, here we've got, that's right, I remember him now. I've got it into drive, and I can change the modes through drive. So, I mean, there's a little bit of vibrations here. At the end of the day, it's a big twin. You're going to expect that. This is way different to my Thunderbird Triple, my 4-cylinder CBR. You know, it's different to them. So again, yeah, I'm just going to pull in here for a minute. We're on the tractor. So now then, now we've got D, so I'm assuming if I press it again, we're in Sport and drive. Ah, right, so you hold it down. Gotcha. Yeah, okay, so let's go back to drive. So we're in normal drive right now. So you click once to go into Sport, you then hold it down. Let's go into Sport 2, hold it down for Sport 3. So I'm just going to try Sport 1 because we're not going to get too much out here. And we're going to see how it goes. How do I get the heated grips? Ah, yes, right. So the big button here, right. So immediately I'm putting this heated grip. So it's the little button here. I think I mean, to be honest, this does look initially kind of complicated, but I think once you spent, you know, a couple of days with it, you'll be whizzing around all this with wild abandon, shall we say. So anyway, I've just gone from drive to Sport 3. And these things are talky buggers at the best of times, so I'm going to see what difference that is going to make. So particularly around here where it's very twisty. Now I'm looking for a bit more drive out the bends, which is what I didn't quite get just now because I was in tour mode. And you know, as I just said, when I come out the bend it was in 6th. I expected it to go 5th, possibly straight down to 4th, but it went 5th, and then it kind of decided I'm going to 4th this time. So that was in drive. I'm now in Sport 3. Let's see what happens. So we're gonna just shut that. So it's still okay. I can feel that although I'm on minimum throttle, it's revving now ever so slightly more, and it's actually stayed in 3 as well. I'm not going to do too much because we've got a bend coming up. So it's kind of hanging in its right now. I can immediately see that whereas I was in tour mode, yeah, it's immediately dropped down to 2nd. When I was in tour mode, it sort of wanted to change up to top gear as soon as it could, whereas now it's hanging on to its gear, and I can feel that. Yeah, it's changing up just slightly again. Right, so let's give it a... Holy crap! Whoa! Oh my days! There's quite a bit of difference here. So brakes, yeah, it's dropped down early to come out of the bend. Yeah, there's a lot of difference there between Tour and Sport. As I say, I've gone into full fat mode, so I've gone from one extreme to the other effectively. Their dogs. Right, so yeah, I mean that's immediately hardened up.
like those. Yeah, that is a lot different. Whoa. Oh shit, yeah, freaking hell. Hello. Yeah, it just holds on to its revs longer, even when you're on minimum throttle. So, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to drop down to, because I'm not going to get the benefit of, so, if I'm on Sport 3, can I? Yes, I can. So I've still got a manual override. Oof. Yeah, I thought I saw a tractor around here. Okay, so if I hold that down again, so I can switch it while I'm riding, so that's another bonus. So I've just gone down to Sport 1. Okay, so it's still a hard pickup compared to touring mode. Oh, you're good. Yeah, so yeah, it's not got quite the edge of S3. So obviously the second, I'm not going to bother with 2 mode because I've just gone one extreme to the other. So you can only assume that the second setting in Sport is between the 2. So in that short space of time I've gone from touring, which you can immediately see if you're out doing a lot of dual carriageway work, you just leave it in touring, be done with it. You know, but if you're going to hit these sort of roads, then it makes a lot more sense. I hate to think what the fuel, I can probably check what my MPG is, but I don't really want to muck about too much. Right, so we'll just drop down to second. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we've seen Sport 1, we've seen Sport 3, we've seen normal drive. Okay, so I'm just going to pull over for a minute. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to neutral, then I'm going to go to drive, and then right, okay, so we've got neutral. I can't go straight to manual, right, so we're just in neutral at the moment. So we go to drive. Okay, so I'm just in standard drive now. As you can see, D, pressing the grey button. As you can see, A, M, it's marked up. As I did thought it was an R for a minute, but that's actually an A. So press it once, there we go, we've come out of automatic, we're now into manual. So I've now got control of the shifters. So once this, well, yeah, it won't go until I start pulling off, which I'm going to do in a minute. Okay, let's go. So now what I'm doing is I've gone into manual. Yeah, okay. That's a lovely shift. Now, when you stay in that gear, because okay. Oh, that picks up. It really does pick up. And that's a great noise. I know I've probably said that several times now, but that's a really nice pipe on it. Now, it's not, you know it's there, but it's not intrusive, but it's just enough. I find that's just right. So, oh god, I'm stuck on a stinky van now. So in manual mode, it's holding its gears just like a normal manual bike would. That is, the gear changes. It's absolutely beautiful. Okay. Yeah, that is, I like this a lot. And I've said it before,
That's really good. So, right, now I'm now in 5th, okay, and as I said before, I believe, I'm sure if memory serves me correctly, no, this one doesn't drop down. So I'm now doing 24. Okay, it'll pull, but I'm in 5th at 25. I mean, it'll pull, but it's still blah blah blah, you know. I mean, the upshift is crumbs. I did feel that. Now the upshift is really seamless, very seamless. Right, so I've been there roughly half hour now. It's roughly half hour I've been out for. And do you know what? This seat, lovely. It's, again, the seat is just right. It's not too firm, it's not too soft. It's, to me, this is, yeah, I'm slowly getting sold on this new model. Now, as I think I've said so far, 1 or 2 reservations because, yeah, actually even the downshifts are great. So I'm into 3rd. Yeah, it just feels like a normal manual, but obviously you've got no clutch. I really like this a lot. You know, as I said, just why I went off on a little tangent there. I felt that this new model, to my mind, would be a bit too much. But again, oh, I almost went for a clutch again then. Oh no, it's changing down. Okay, it's alright. Yeah, I thought it just stayed in gear, but I think, yeah, it's doing the same as what the previous model did. When you're at very low speeds, it will drop down itself, you know. So, now one thing I'm noticing actually with the paddle shifts, although they've extended the upshift out, so your finger's on it. With all these other controls, I just noticed that I went to change gear, but instead hit the flasher. Which I wasn't expecting. So I'm just going to go through a few bends again. So I'm going to head up the A130. I'm going to put this back into just normal drive mode in a minute. I'm going to head up the A130. God, these hands are really cooking now. I've set it up to maximum just to see how much heat is coming out, and yeah, there's a lot. I mean, my hands are really toasty. I mean, coupled with these, you know, the hand guards as well, you know, I would think this would be such a great bike to ride all weathers. There was one issue, talking to an all-weather bike, there was one issue that the early models of the early ones of the previous model had, in that their spokes suffer from corrosion. Now Honda, you know, obviously replaced them under warranty, as they should, but that was one of the few issues, so I'm assuming they've learnt their lesson from that, and it's now, you know, they should have sorted out, and coupled with the fact we've now got tubeless tyres is even better. So I'm now in 4th, okay, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pull over and grab a quick drink because I'm a bit thirsty, and yeah, we're going to change a couple of settings. Now, as I said, I'm not going to bother too much with what's on here because that is to do with the infotainment system. I don't really want to spend my remaining hour and a half fiddling around with all that, you know, because it's when, come on mate, come on. I mean, that shift, Well, I did think I got a little clunk there, but the actual change itself is... Hang on. Did you get that? The actual change itself, it's almost imperceptible. So I'm riding along with second gear, doing 25, okay, so we've got third. But then there's a very slight click. But the change itself, it's just, it's almost imperceptible, you know? So I'm going to slow down now. You can see that, yeah, it's just changed itself down. So when you're hitting very low speed, it will still change down of its own accord, which is exactly what the old model did, which is great if you forget, you know. I'm just going to park next to the Focus for a minute. As I say, I'm going to... I mean, again, well, this is a taller bike than my Thunderbird. It's very easy to manoeuvre, and I've just reversed this up a slope, and yeah, this is quite impressive. So I'm going to go and find some dual carriageway, and I'm guessing probably the A130, just to get this up to 70 miles an hour, see how well it sits. Yeah, we'll go from there. So ignition on. This is all good techie stuff, isn't it? Also might give me a chance to try the cruise control, because to me that is a bit of a novelty on a bike. Obviously I'm used to it on the cars because my motor has one, but on a bike, yeah. I'm just going to stick my gloves on, and it was good to see that you can operate this with gloves, which is nice. So we're there, ignition on. I can feel a little whirring under myself, it's not unpleasant. There we go, fired up. Lovely jubbly. So we are going to go back into just normal drive mode this time. We've done normal drive through to maximum sports setting and the manual. So just going to hit normal drive. Right, so I've got roughly another hour. So okay, so we're in drive. So again, this is now back into drive. Yeah, it's the shifting is very early. We're just sitting in second at the moment, in 20 miles an hour. Yep, as you can see, we've gone back into normal drive mode, straight up into fifth. So we're looking for that economy all the time. It's a very, do you know, it's actually really relaxing, this DCT, because it's, you know, just a big twist and go really. 1100cc twist and go over 100 brake, but still a twist and go nonetheless. That's right. Now, as Hal did say at the shop, you can set your own preferences. So that's everything from the grips to, you know, how you want your suspension setup and so forth. But okay, so it's just giving you the rev counter. Off-road, okay, so that would gravel mode, urban, okay. No, I didn't see this one before. So if we're going urban, I'm not too sure where we're going to go regarding urban. This is, I'm assuming that is around town. This is what I'm doing at the minute. Let me click down again, we're back in tour mode. But if I go back up, can I? Ah, yeah, right, I see. So enter. Okay. That was my imagination of the shifting slightly different. I've got to say how much a world of difference DCT makes when you are actually in an urban setting like this. Now, no fault of its own, you know, my CBR is a pain around town, but it's because of what it is. No, even my Thunderbird, it's a more tractable engine, granted, so it's, you know, going up and down the gearbox going can be a little bit annoying, although the riding position I much prefer because it's not on my wrists. But this is just perfect. I mean, the riding position is absolutely natural. I'm not worried about doing the gear changes. That DCT sitting below me is just I cannot tell you how good these are. And look, it's 3 mile now. I'm cool and I can hold this. It is nice and easy. Right, I've got to stop now. I've actually got to put my feet down. The one downside about having quite a few controls so close together is that it's quite easy to catch one and not the other. The only thing I'm surprised at so far is given the close proximity of the indicators to the downshift pedal. Now I can still, although I'm in an automatic mode, I can still shift the gears if I want to. So that is, there we go. Oh, there we go, darling. There's a little bit of a squeak from the brake there. And yeah, if they, I can see what some of the reviewers have said about these controls being a lot there. I mean, I agree, there's a lot there, and as you've heard, I've caught the horn a couple of times. I think I might have even caught the downshift pedal once. That is my one main criticism of this, is that where you do so many controls, you know, you do end up with this. So I mean, the actual infotainment system and doing presets to your user, I do actually get that now, because how many of us, like, you know, I mean, we've all got smartphones these days, and you know, just as with my other two, you know, my Honda and my Triumph, as I say, just with my Honda and my Triumph, mate, really? Although I've got phone mounts on there. What does? There's still a bit of a bind, you know, when you've got to set everything up with each other. There's still got a bit of mucking about because, you know, you've got to get your lead, find your power point. I mean, you know, it's built in on here. And all the rest of it. So I actually get that, particularly, I mean, because this is the kind of bike you're going to do. You don't buy a bike like this to potter around town on, you know. Let's just get that out of the way. You buy something like this because you want to do mileage. And as I say, with Hal back in the shop, as much as we love the sound of our bikes, when you're sitting on the motorway, you know, and you have a dual carriageway, it can get a little boring. So if you've got your music, your radio, whatever you're playing, and you've got this set up to do that, Yeah, okay, I sort of get that now. So, yeah, what we're doing at the moment, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go up the A130 because, you know, the councils in their infinite wisdom decided to set a 50-mile-an-hour limit along about half the stretch of the 127 these days. So, I mean, I'm doing 50 now, and you know, it's I'm barely even on the throttle. You know, I'm often on the throttle even at 50 because it's you know, with the flow of traffic here. And plus I want to see how effective the screen is. Now you're going to know how effective the screen is by how clear I'm coming through on my dialogue. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of great firework displays this year. Looking forward to that with bated breath. So, I'm just going to... Now, there's something I haven't done yet, thinking about it. I'm not really going to now, because the traffic lights have gone green. Normally they just hit me for red no matter where I go. I was hoping to do a little bit of filtering. It's not going to happen, so... Okay, that changed down quite quickly. Wow, that really does pick up even in touring mode. So yeah, we're just going to go down the A130, probably up to around the turnpike area and back down again, just so I can have a quick play with the... Well, the centre of gravity on this must be really low. So I'm just sitting there at 3 and it's... So... Oh, come on mate, get out of the way. So I'm still getting a bit of wind noise. Now whilst that's going over my head, and I've possibly the street video would have been a bit wider, maybe, because I can feel that on my shoulders. Run over my head quite. Actually crash sorry wise, that's fine, it's just so I can feel a bit of wind on my shoulders. It's not uncomfortable. So I'm gonna... Right, so how do I set that? So I've put through some stuff on. How do I set it? Ah, right, got it. I pushed the button down. So I'm set. Yeah, okay. I've just immediately relaxed. So I've got the heated grips on, DCT's doing its job, cruise control. So now, although my car has got cruise control, it's as you say, it's quite unprofessional that you set it. Because with slightly more modern cruise controls, you can actually adjust the speed on the go. So let's see if we can do that. So I'm going to press 68, 69, okay. Up to 69, 7. Right, so just taking it up. There we go, so we're set. Motorway speed. Now while I sit in that lane, I have to say, is very relaxing. And the seat as well, I mean, the seat does feel curved, but not unduly so. And I think that's kind of where you want it, because although my Triumph, you know, the foam in the seat of my Triumph is, you know, it's 25 years old now, so it's not going to have the same level of support, I have to say, as the newer seat. But I know I've got off the shop, but I've not felt anything that's going to affect my comfort. So, I mean, we're going to find out, obviously, because I'm going to come back down the other way, straight back to Bellevue. Suspension wise, I mean, this rotation is smooth, but it bumps there. If anything, could probably do a little bit more damping, probably a little less rebound. That's just my thinking. Right, so. Okay, that's cool. So, yeah, we're just going to go round and back again. Oh dear. There's always that kid inside you who just wants to do that. Oh, come on, Loomis. You know what? I've just gone for a clutch again, and you know why? Because let's see if I can filter. Yeah, that's cool. And it goes. So we're just going. Yeah, that's cool. That's good. So again. Cruise controls back on. We want to bring the speed up slightly. Right, there we go, set right out. So we're sitting, well, 3,500 revs. This is nice, comfortable, pretty relaxed. Hoping there is one other thing I'll be able to do when I get back is to filter, because I've only had a little bit so far on this bike, and again, as I said, it doesn't feel its weight. Just want to see how nimble this feels through traffic. Through this. No, that ain't it. Yeah, got it. Okay. So, Right, so that's right. I've got the mileage. Right, now I've just actually brought up, so that's what that does. As I say, I'm not deliberately fiddling around with this, but that was quite intuitive. So what I've just done is, you know, I was saying earlier on about wondering what kind of fuel consumption I'm doing. Well, I can tell you now. I was jumping around a little bit, but I think it's probably because the cruise conductor on. I'd say we're in the 50 mpg plus ballpark. So we're in the 50 mpg ballpark. Okay, now that's and that's good as it is very, very stable. Very stable. That was the Africa Twin, the 2020 model. My battery did run out at that point because normally my test rides are an hour. This was a 2-hour one, so my battery didn't last as long as the ride. As I mentioned just before it stopped, I wanted to try a bit more filtering. It was fine, easy enough to handle, just like the previous model. The only limiting factor is the wider handlebars. That was it. Other than that, yeah, I couldn't say any better. The only other thing I did find, and I mentioned the seat felt fine to me during the ride. At the end of it, I did find it a little bit on the firm side. So that's the only other thing to bear in mind. The older model did have a comfort seat option. Maybe want to look at that as an additional thing if you're planning on going on extended trips. But yeah, apart from that, well chuffed with it. Would I have one? Absolutely. Although the price is a bit more than the previous model, but then you've got more stuff on there. So if you, and I see what Honda have done here, if you want something that's more off-road focused, you've got the model that Hal points out in the shop. If you want something more tour focused, you go for this. That's not to say I don't think this model is highly capable off-road. I think it will be, just like the previous model. It's just that looks like the route that Honda have gone now. As I said, overall, yeah, no problems. Definitely have one. Thank you very much, and we will see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.